uh, is to, have to go around the room really, and hear from each one of you and try to, get a sense of where you are now and what you need to do, or where you can go, with your art practice, where, it can generate some of the things that you're hoping to do. So it could be more working in the studio. It could be more connecting with other people. It could be working on, the collateral stuff, websites, statements, and all that stuff. So yeah, let's see. Let's start. Laura, do you want to go first? Because we missed you last week, and maybe
Sure,
we
I'll
can
go
catch up.
first. I
Yeah,
think that this Art Chat Pro has been so exceptionally clear and clarifying to me in the few short weeks. I've done a lot and I've put a lot out there, but it's too much. And I've learned this lesson before, but it really sunk in this time. And I can remember I had had an opportunity to put my work in Rendezvous, the restaurant Rendezvous, when it was in Cambridge. The owner saw my work and loved it and said, "Bring me some things." Well, I think I brought him 40 things. You know, I had no idea, and they were all different.
ah,
And because my practice is all over the place. I do printmaking, I do collage, I paint, I do a little sculpting, and so now I'm learning, and I've heard this before, but because I didn't go to art school and I've done it my own way,
yeah,
I didn't do a body of work, that was contiguous and made sense. I did what I felt like doing.
yeah,
And I've been somewhat successful in that, but
yeah,
I
for
haven't
sure.
I haven't gotten to the level where I should have gotten, given the number of things that I've done already. And that's because I'm very complicated. Everything is complicated to me and I make everything complicated. So I really appreciate um while I was in Jamaica, I just took some time and I just looked at my site. I looked at my work and I realized what I had done was make bad decision after bad decision. Oh, I like this piece. I'm going to include it. Oh, it's a bad photo, but I like it. I blur my eyes. I don't look at it like a photographer would. There's so many little quirky things that I've done to self-sabotage in a way, or
Hmm.
just and it's I don't know why it took so long for it to sink in, but I'm really grateful.
Okay. Yeah, well, I hear you, and I am so happy that you've really enjoyed the journey, because
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Art is a process.
it is, and
Uh
there really is. There's that difference. There are different things. There's the art making,
yeah.
then there's the editing, right,
Yes. Which
process.
who know what?
Yeah, and then there's the marketing process, and
Exactly.
they're really different,
All
distinct
very, very
categories.
distinct. Yes.
And we can choose to do only one of those things, which is fine. Like, there's nothing saying you have to do this or that.
Exactly.
Really, there's no art police up there. It's
No, there's
really up
no
to
art
you,
police. But
and
I have high expectations for myself. I set
yeah.
myself up for very high expectations. So when I don't reach them, I flog myself,
Oh.
you
Well,
know.
but that's the thing. I mean, I'm not sure if you go to art school, they actually teach, you this.
I
It's
know.
certainly
That's that's what
it's in
all
the
my friends
air,
who have gone have
right?
said. It's
And yeah, it's in the air, and you kind of, if you pay attention, you see, oh,
right.
there's a way in which people who are, you know, out there in the world with their work, are doing something that sort of professionalizes them in a way.
Right.
And some of that is at the editing part, and that
Right.
is a lot of uh, uh, that is a different way of looking at your work, for sure.
Right.
So, it's like just like shifting the lens a little bit, you
Yeah.
know. I
No,
mean,
it makes perfect sense. It really, really does. I like things that are simple. Why wouldn't somebody else? You know,
right, but
so
you're in love with the process, and that's great too. So it's just like that next little bit of focus over to the side there. Okay,
yeah,
so I've done, so and I that's if you still want to do that work with me one on one, we could do that. Even if you wanted to bring
that's where I really will be needing to go.
Okay,
That is what I
that could
need.
really help. The other
Yeah.
thing is if you wanted to do in here and just show some work. But I think yeah, less is more, and
Yeah.
the strong and what does make a strong piece of art. And I think that there are some criteria that most everybody can kind of agree on about it, and it's independent of technique or style.
Hmm.
Um, so I think it's just sort of deciding for yourself, okay, I've done 20 prints. Now, which are the five that are the strongest? Or in your personal practice, what I would say is, what are the five pieces in your printmaking that are the most exciting to you and the things that you've never done before?
Hmm.
So, and those are two very different
Different
questions,
things. Yes,
right?
exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
So
Yep.
in I'm a big proponent of, sort of a growth mentality in art making, which is you don't stop when you're satisfied.
Right. You
In
keep
fact,
growing,
that's
keep
you keep
learning, keep
going and
experimenting.
keeping that's right. That's right.
And that's what's caused me so much joy in my practice is my
Yeah.
experimentation, but it has also left me, too spread out. I mean, I have to find some kind of cohesiveness. And I have at times, and that's good.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm trying to find a way to be a little more focused and deliberate. And these are all things that I should be doing. Oh, I hate when I should be doing
Well,
something,
Laura,
but it's good.
the next time I teach art chat, the regular art chat, not the pro, which is just looking at the work and talking, that actually might be helpful for you because it's a
Okay.
good situation. I'll be doing a call for new people in let's see, this session will be over in like early May. So
Hmm.
the next session will probably start, in the summer.
Okay.
And if you're interested, you can think about that, or we can work one on one. But yeah, that's it. It does help to have somebody with some
Yes.
guidance because you know what it's like. We all have trouble seeing our own work.
Yeah.
We love everything we do or we hate everything that we do and we can't see it objectively. And
Right.
that's the thing that we miss when we're all by ourselves in the studio. And yeah, if you have a person who's
And
compassionate,
then what's funny is that I do have Turtle Studios,
yeah.
but we have a no comment rule.
Oh,
So,
interesting. Well, that makes
um,
sense. I mean, I
right.
get that.
Yeah.
I get
And,
that.
unless solicited, unless you've asked for it.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
and I ask, but I haven't been doing a lot of work there. I've been doing more work in the printmaking realm. But anyway,
yeah.
I appreciate this bit of knowledge. Thank you.
Great. Okay, good. Well, so we'll come back around to you.
All right.
That sounds like a plan, to
Yeah.
just edit what you have, and that will also help you moving forward because you'll have an
Right.
idea of, what is the thing that's most of interest to me, and how can I carry on, what are the themes in my work?
Exactly.
And we have them. We all have them, even if you're just, if you played in different areas, there are
Hmm.
themes that are going to tie everything together.
Hmm.
Okay.
And
Well,
I'm waiting for the new themes to develop right now. It's very, very difficult right now to even know where to begin, you know?
Well, I would go back to the themes that you find recur, because we all have recurring
Yeah.
themes. They're who we
We
are.
do. Yeah, that's true.
I look at work that I did in the 80s, and I am not doing such different work right now. It's the
Hmm.
same hand, same sort of sensibility. You'll see,
Hmm. Yep.
and
Repeater.
it's true. It's exactly,
Yep.
exactly.
It's true. Well,
Um,
thank you.
sure. Okay, who's next? Nikki, do
Boy.
you want to go? You want to talk? Because I know you had, did you, I'm curious to find out if you did get into Upwork.
No, I didn't get into Upwork. And no, no. So, but I said, "Oh, I know. I'll go ahead and use my work email and I'll start a new thing." So
Ah,
I thought, "Oh, brilliant." So I started and they walk you through, there's the thing where you check, am I looking to hire someone or am I looking to be hired? And I click on that box and it sends me to the page where you put together a profile as a provider, not
yeah.
a, not as a provider, right? Which is not what I want. I'm a client.
Ah, yeah, yeah,
And then
yeah,
I went back and I did it 5 times and it kept looping me through the same thing. And then I gave up. So
Ah,
this is where I'm at, and I haven't figured out where to go from here. But I think what I'm going to try is I'm going to try maybe there's something wrong with my computer. Nothing else is glitching like that, but Upwork is. So I don't know. I'm going to try on the computer at work and maybe the guy there can help me a
this
little
is
bit.
so
The
weird.
sort of standard thing is, have you tried a different browser? So if you're using Safari, use Chrome, and if you're using Chrome, use Safari. That's
yeah.
sort of
There
like
you
the number
go.
one go-to right now, because that happens all the time, and there's no rationale to it. Like I got into Upwork this week with no problem, and you didn't. But everybody says immediately, "Did you try a different browser?"
Yeah.
Okay,
Even my
I will do
bank.
that. I will do that.
Good idea,
Okay.
Marianne. Exactly. Because I use Firefox, and there are a lot of things that will not open with
Yeah,
Firefox.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be sitting there
yeah.
like, what the heck is going on? And I'll call them and they say, oh, try a different browser.
Yeah, it
Okay.
used to not be
Mm-hmm.
that way. You used
I've
to
been
just
Right.
could
using
use
Chrome.
whatever you wanted and it was fine, but everyone's websites have gotten so much more fine-tuned and they
Yeah.
all have different security layers that like
Yeah.
I can only open my bank in Chrome. If I try in Safari, it acts like I don't exist. It's like,
Mm.
yeah.
Wow. Okay. Good to know. Thank you so
Right.
much.
I
Nikki,
will
I think
try
I have
that.
you. Yay! Okay, so you're gonna work on
Yeah,
your
I'm going to keep on. I'm just going to keep on keeping on. And I find it to be very helpful to have like a deadline because I just hate this stuff so much. And if I don't have a deadline, it doesn't happen.
yeah.
You had said something in one of the emails about a show, a pop-up show or something like that. Is that what I saw?
Well, we were talking about, yeah, about other ways to get your workout aside from the galleries. And that was actually something that I wanted to address in here. We haven't gotten around to it, and we can certainly talk about that today. But, you know, the thing is, galleries are really, really a hard nut to crack.
They
It
are.
is super hard, as you all know. And the older that you are, that you haven't had, didn't get in your foot in the door when you were 25,
Right.
the harder it is later. And it's really unfair. So what I've done in my life, in my career, is to work outside the system and take advantage of um, showing my work in spaces that are maybe not, expected. Taking advantage of the opportunities there are a number of galleries in the Boston area and suburbs that um, are nonprofit spaces that are meant for artists to show in that are not geared to selling necessarily. And one among those opportunities, I know I've mentioned Cambridge Art Association, Concord Art Association. I mean, these are just things that sort of in my neck of the woods that I know about. And then the Fort Point Art Association,
Mm.
which you can become a member of for $100 a year, and they have like 4 or 5 different galleries that are available there. For 12 months a year, where they offer spaces to have a show.
Mhm.
So it's not that there aren't decent places around to show your work. It really depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking for to be included in shows that museum curators might put together, then showing your work in a situation where it's not necessarily a commercial gallery can be a venue where it's a reasonable place to do this. Um, some artists, what you're doing is you really want to sell your work, and that's different. And that takes a different kind of strategy. If you're doing your work, you know, anytime you show your work, there's, you're still doing it to kind of climb to the next place. Either you want
yeah,
more people to see it, you want to sell it, or you want to be included in other people's shows.
it's sort of a catch-22. You can't get into a gallery unless you can show that you've had a whole bunch of shows. And so,
Well, I think it helps, and of course, galleries need to make money, so they need to know that your work sells in their particular gallery situation, and it's different for everybody. If you were an abstract artist, you wouldn't try a gallery that's obviously, geared to more realistic stuff, and vice
Right.
versa, and whatever. So, it does mean you have to look around. So, I like the idea of an artist who is empowered to show her work. Damn it, to get it out there. And, if you have to, you start with your friends and your family. And there's nothing wrong with that. And then you gradually get more experience and more self-confidence and, more things on the CV so that you can do more and more. I think we've talked about the open calls, of which there are many, and a lot of places out there would be very happy to take your money to throw your hat in for one or two pieces. And I don't think it's worth it after a certain point. I think it's a crapshoot. I think, as I said earlier, these places need to make money. So they're going to say to artists, come submit your work for $35. You can submit us 5 images and you might get into our show with 150 other artists on the wall. And, you might do that. And if you know the community, it's very nice and there's nothing wrong with it. But after a point, it isn't what we really want, because one work of a body of work that you've been doing is just like reading one sentence from a novel that you've been writing. And it's satisfying to a point, and then it's not.
Yeah.
So that's why, if you have done a lot of open calls, by meaning a lot, I mean 3 or 4, it's enough before it's like, it's not going to help you. What you really want is to show a body of work. What do you do? What is your work about? Who are you as an artist? And that's where having some kind of a solo opportunity or even a 2 or 3 person show, it's really it's very satisfying. And it can be done. There are places in the area that are public places that you can find that feel decent. They feel like you're being respected. I don't personally love the idea of showing at a cafe or restaurant. I know people do, and they have, and it's okay, but I don't feel as though the work is getting its due. It's usually not lit well. People aren't there to look at the work, they're to eat. So
I'll throw something out there. The Decortiva has a program, and it's I don't remember the name of it, and it's a little weird. It's a lot weird. So take newer artists, and they will put your work in offices, and places like that, and they pay you some very small stipend. And you sign a contract that, and then I think if it sells, they get a piece of it or whatever. And you sign a contract to have certain pieces that they have to put in these spaces. So, you're basically, you're providing free artwork. I don't know how much they charge on the other end to provide artwork. But it is getting seen in an office setting or a hospital setting or something like that. And it's exposure, and maybe people might buy it. Who knows?
I'm going to write this down because it's something you might want to know. It's the corporate art lending program, and at the Decortiva.
That's it.
Art lending program, and they do pay you. I think it's $150 for each piece.
Yeah,
for a certain amount of
nothing.
time. Like you're not going to get rich, but it is out of your studio and it does give you exposure.
Right.
And
FPAC does that too. FPAC has a corporate lending
yes,
program.
exactly. I was just going to say Fort Point Art Channel,
Cool.
which is the other, place to join for $100 for the year. In addition to having spaces that you can show little, gallery opportunities, they also have a lending program which gives you 10% of the sales price, which is much better. So if you're selling
Yeah.
something for $7,000 and they rent it for a year, you at least get 700. So anyway, they're both, things to check out if that's of interest to you. Yeah, so those are things like that. And
Can I ask,
it's
do those places typically cover the insurance on your piece, or is it up to you to cover it or not?
I think they cover it. Yeah. So,
Okay.
it's something certainly to look into. I know the De Cordova Corporate Art Lending Program has gotten better over the years, and they do try to offer the lending artists some programming, and they know they're getting a deal. On the other hand, De Cordova, gets support from these businesses, and one of the perks that they get from the De Cordova is, choosing a couple of pieces for their lobbies. The artist always has a hard time. We just have to we have to choose and decide what we want to do, what's worth our time, what's worth the money, where do you want to be? So, yeah. But yeah. Anyway, so Nikki, and you're going to get some good photos of your work too, right? Because
Yes.
yeah, all right, good.
And I mean, a lot of them just need to be cropped, I think. I think a couple of them need to be reshot, but I think some of them just need to be cropped, and I think they would be serviceable for the time being to go into the website.
Okay, good. All right, but so you're on top of that. That sounds good. So maybe you can say next time we meet that you've gotten somebody from Upwork to work for you. Oh my God. What a weird thing. Anyway, okay, good. All right, who wants to be next? Marianne, Betty?
Yeah, I'll
Marianne?
go.
Okay, yeah. Marianne, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good, actually. Yeah, I'm doing a lot of interesting work, but I have, one of my mediums is architecture, and when
Yeah.
you do many architecture projects, it takes a lot of time. So
Yeah.
lately I've been practicing a lot of architecture.
Okay.
But that's good. And I did submit a request for Upwork to get a little help with my website because I just thought, practice what I preach. I think it's like I could pay someone a short amount and they would make that leap for me. But then it was interesting because you get a lot of responses, right, from people.
Right.
And so then the barrier was reviewing all the people who responded. And though that became a bigger barrier than just posting it on Upwork. Posting Upwork took me 2 seconds. It was
Right.
easy. But
Right.
to get all those responses is like an hour-long job to go through them and see who I want to work with and who I would trust. And then I started thinking, do I have to give this person access to my Wix account? And do I really want to do that? That seemed like a security sort of weird thing. And so I started having lots of questions about the logistics of working with someone on Upwork. So that was enough for me to sort of put it aside, like one little barrier, and suddenly it's like, okay, I'm not going to do that today. Then I got back to Marianne, you can do this yourself, or I could hire someone locally. There's a million people on the Cape who I would know who could help me. So I'm committed to doing this, and I know what I need to do. I just that was my barrier.
Okay. Yeah, no, I know. A lot of people. I mean, it's expensive. It is. It's a really big, unless you figure out how to do it yourself. I have
think it has to be expensive to get someone lay the groundwork, right? Because I can add photos and type in copy. It's just getting someone to sort of set up the basic template is really.
Yeah, I mentioned these guys, Dazed and Confucius. And they are they're a group that I know does this. This is what their business is. And I think it's not that bad to get set up. I think it's like $600 from the very beginnings, from the start of it, to do it. And they're used to dealing with artists. So, there's also somebody who'll definitely check out.
Okay.
I mean, It's true. The Upwork thing is tricky, and you don't really know. The only thing I can say to you is, I mean, I haven't gone to them for websites because I have learned how to do that, but I have gone to people to do other kinds of like Photoshop stuff that I don't know how to do, and I look at how other people rate them, and that's the thing that I find very helpful.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Just
So
that with the website, I would need to give someone access to my server because I would have like a couple dozen photos and things, you
right.
know. I mean, I guess I just started thinking I wouldn't want to give someone I don't know access to my server, you know.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
so it started not being, yeah. So anyway,
right, right, right.
it's solvable.
Good.
You don't
Okay.
need to
Yeah.
spend time on
Yeah.
it
You
so
just
much.
take the leap, and yeah, you'll figure it out.
Yeah.
It sounds like you're on the way there. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I know what to do. I no longer feel kind of overwhelmed by it. I do have a lot of those pages, like the ones I sent you, that are set up that already have like 4 photos and a little copy on them. I do those in InDesign because, when
Mm,
you submit things to people, it's architecturally we do a project per page.
hmm.
And so I was thinking that I would just use those PDFs instead of I see what the recommendation is to sort of simplify it.
Yeah.
But I feel like with my work, like one photo doesn't tell the whole story. Um, so I think I'll just start with like the single photo on the open page. I love the way yours is set up where you just do like, we all have a grid of just simple photos and then you click on it. And then when you click on it, there's many more, right? And I think a paragraph. I might write too much, but I don't know, there's so much to say. Um, so
Yeah. Like
so
I know we talked about like the difference between a public art website. Like we thought of Matthew Mazzata, and he's
right.
somebody who's so well respected. I guess I would look at somebody who's really dedicated to that kind of work and see how they do it. Because there's a difference too. I mean, it's not like looking at a painting or looking at one sculpture. It is different. So I would, I think trust your gut and look at people who are quality to get some ideas.
Yeah, I had
Mhm.
his website up just this
Yeah.
week. So it's sort of,
Okay.
I think there's a formula for
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
can,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. Between
Great.
Maya Lin and Matthew Mazzata, I think I have
Yeah,
two good
you're all set with the good ones. Yeah,
Mhm.
looking at the best.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But I have to say, for me, um, just having the idea of a visual art community is
Yeah.
I feel like this has strengthened that for me. And between that and that chakra course that I took at the same time as that, they're both sort of running the same length of time, and that's a
Yeah.
totally different group of artists, different conversation, but it's given very regular time in my week, like the cumulative of maybe 6 to 8 hours where I am an artist. And I haven't ever really had that. And so
Mm.
I really feel like it's making me I'm presenting myself differently. It's strengthening my voice. So you're asking sort of what we felt like we were getting out of the class. I mean, for me, that's been that. And from that comes clarity about these things that I know how to do,
Yeah.
but I've been sort of making them bigger deals than they have to be because I felt like I didn't have the clarity in myself. So no, I am like grateful for all of
Mhm.
you to sort of, you know, just be together and talk. It's
I mean, I
it's
think
all
there
it's about.
is in community, it is really an important strengthening thing. I've seen that from all the art chat program, which you might be interested in too. Not to push it. I'm not pushing it, but
That's
it's
okay.
just saying that it is a group that meets every other week for an hour, just like this, and we go around and just talk about what we're doing in the studio. It's not,
Uh-huh.
and I purposely do not discuss marketing in that kind of nothing about it because it's very different. So,
Right.
Uh-huh.
but, and I'll put, you'll get my emails and just see
Yeah,
if
yeah. I remember when you
it.
first put out this, I picked this because I felt like I needed some logistics right away.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah.
but yeah, I'm already, I mean, the other one ended last week and I'm already like missing that a lot and knowing that I'm going to need to not replace, but have some continuity.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but then I need to also figure out how I can do that in person locally, right? I need a community here of creative people. It's just been really hard to create that here.
It's interesting. So Marianne, you're in the Cape,
Yeah.
which is like its own little world. Y- You're like
Yeah.
3 hours from Boston. I would say it's like Boston, the Cape. No, 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 it's not.
No.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Well, I think, putting yourself out there as an artist and going to the local galleries openings is probably the best a good way to start to break into that, right?
yeah. Yeah. No, I go to a lot of them. I think it's
Yeah.
weird down here, right? People move here to sort of be um away.
Yeah.
They don't move here to join clubs.
Huh.
It's very interesting.
Hmm.
And so everybody, it's not just me. Like I'll talk to people. I'm like, what about this? Like even the architects don't have a community down here. That's like so weird to me. I mean, architects travel in herds like small
Yeah.
dogs, they like never leave each other alone. Like they're always together. And and down here, you can't get them to gather in a group of four.
Huh.
They're all like, what? So weird.
Funny. What about the Truro Castle Hill? Have you taken classes there, or do
I
you know people
have. They're
there?
great. If you guys
Yeah.
ever want to splurge on a class, every class I've taken there has been really great.
But I think of that as being a community. I don't know
Yeah.
if that is a community, but that would be, someplace that I would look to. So
Yeah,
yeah.
during the summer, it's obviously a lot easier. So,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Well, I
so it's
wish you
sort of a
luck for
thing
that.
down here. It's a thing.
Yeah.
But I'll
Hmm.
find it. I heard a woman speak at I run a conference each year called the Creative Exchange with the
Hmm.
Arts Foundation. And one of the women we had speak said that she actually had a public art group that she met with online,
Huh.
and it really helped her push her work pretty far. So I need to go back and look at my notes and find out that group because
Mhm.
that would be really good.
Yeah, and I think I told everybody about this thing that I am now part of called Network. Did I tell everybody about this?
Mhm.
NEFA.
NETVVRK. I'll just
Oh,
show you what that is like. Just
yeah.
because you might really be interested. It is a community, it's an online community started by this woman named Patty Johnson. And what it is, information coursework that you can find answers to, like how do I approach a gallery and all this stuff. But also, how do you handle, people write in questions and write in what they're reading and write in what they're talking about and thinking. And then Patty Johnson, who's the woman who started it, will talk to you very specifically about, you're trying to do whatever. So it's a great online community of people all over the world.
Mm.
And it's, if and when you're ready to do it, it really can be a great thing to do. There's a big group of people from New England that are part of it now. And so, some of those people have met in real life, kind of a part of them from the group. But, more and more, there are these things, they're online, a lot of them. But, it is an interesting thing to just, so, it's $800 a year. But, you have access full time to all these people, all these, this information and webinars and all this stuff. So I just put it out there as something that I found super helpful for me because, I know the people in Boston, a lot of them know me, but in order to get my work beyond Boston, to have opportunities that are outside of the city, you got to go connect with people. And I think we underlined that one early on in this class, right?
Mhm.
All about people that
Absolutely.
Yeah, not in a bad way. I was stuck in that way of thinking for a long time, and it stifles you. It's really kind of a negative approach. But how can you help other people? How can they help you? And that's the essence of it. And then you do meet people that might include you in a group show or might know somebody who blah blah blah. But it is all about connecting. So the idea of an isolated artist working away in their studio, it's a myth. You might need to have that space for the work, but as soon as you leave that and you want to be part of a community to show your work because what we do, I mean, I think the world needs what artists do maybe more and more now than ever,
Mm.
in a certain way, because yeah, we are so used to doing it that we sometimes don't even see that it's a special thing. It's a kind of a gift to give to other people. You're sharing something about yourself to other people, communicating to other people in a way that might not be something that they're used to. It can be a gift both ways, a communication both ways. So I'm feeling very philosophic tonight. Sorry.
Yeah.
And then
That's good though. It's true.
I do try to, for myself too, when the world just looks like it's falling apart, I feel so
It is
lucky
falling
as an
apart.
artist, yeah. This art is a form of resistance.
Yes.
I like to think of it that way. Maybe I'm kidding myself, but
Got to do what you got to do.
So, but
Yeah.
anyway, so yeah, all right, Marianne. Well, so you're on the road. You kind of know what you need. I think that those are great things to realize. Connecting
Well, and I have
more,
this
finding-
appointment with the director at Clark, so I'm
Great.
excited about that.
Great.
And and we haven't talked much about it, but my studio at home was sort of a huge disaster. It was just a mess because of the moving, and I've made a lot of progress in the past 4 weeks, setting it up, clearing things out, making space so I can create, and
Good,
so
good.
that feels great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's been a fair amount of things that have been happening and that I'm glad for.
Good.
Oh.
Good. Yeah. These things take time, and we want them to happen like yesterday, and sometimes you just can't. But being intentional that it needs to get done, and this is what you want in your life. Can sometimes make it happen. So.
Yeah.
All right, Betty, I know you have, I don't know, we want to try to talk now and see if we can hear you a little bit better. It could be the connection you have. No, you're still muted. Unmute yourself. Just try it and see. Oh,
Can you hear me now?
yeah,
Yeah.
good. It's better. It's much better. All right, well, we'll try. So tell us, if you can, tell us where you are with stuff, Betty. No, now we lost you. I'm sorry. Oh, darn it. But I know that you've been working on your website that, and we talked about it a bit last time, and it's looking really good. And you were going to tweak it. Should we take a look at it and tweak it a little? Yeah. Okay. So let's take a look at Betty's website just to see what she's done with it since we saw last week. Okay. So I think it was mostly within your within the work that we were talking about, trying to get that be a little bit. Okay, great. So you start with the main page. The thing that is so successful about it, it's very clean. The focus is on the work. And so we go to this one and we have a whole separate page of the work that's related. See, Laura.
Yes.
Well, I know, but just to say that, what is the thing that ties us together? It's that the process, really. And then, of course, there are these other elements of the cross-hatching and the sort of patterning that, makes it relate. So that when somebody's looking at this, they're like, oh, yeah, okay, it's part of a series. I see how it is. And then, to kind of look in this. So what I'm missing here is the sizes, Betty. Yeah, so you need to put those in, because if someone's interested, the first thing you're going to say is, well, how big are they? So that's like really important. And I like that you put the date, because that also helps us to know, oh, these are really current. And people like our consultants will want to know that sort of thing. They'll be excited by the newest. And what I love that you've done here, that I find it this is such a hard to do, is make a separate page of each piece so that you can see it large. And this is such a pain to do, but it looks like you've done that beautifully. So great. Congratulations on that.
And
right.
what website is it? Is it a Wix site or is it Squarespace?
She's saying yes, Wix. Yeah.
It's Wix. Okay, thank you.
So that looks really good. And yeah, they look,
Mhm.
they're really big so that people can see them, very detailed, which is great. Okay, good. Yeah, I like Wix. Um,
Yeah, it's good.
yeah, I'm not that familiar with it. Like I said, I've been just been using Squarespace. Okay, so all right, so let's go back.
I'm afraid I'm about to lose power. I forgot to
Uh-oh. Okay, well, do what you need to do.
gotta find I gotta find a
Go
cord.
plug in.
Yeah, I'll be
All right,
back.
so let's see, Betty, I want to get back. I guess I have to go back. All right. Yeah. And if there's a way that you can get back from the pieces, that might be better. People will figure it out. But so these are all collages on wood. Um, there you go. Now you got the sizes. Great. Yeah, beautiful. And they're related. They're all 12 by 12, it looks like. Great. Beautiful. Okay. And we'll go back here and see circles. Great. So you've done your due diligence on the sizes with these. This is excellent. Good. You're all ready for that. Great. Yeah. So it's just that first set, and then you have to pick it up. Yeah. Yeah. Doing a website is a ton of work. It looks good, Betty. It looks really good. So keep going to finish, but at least you got something up there. And I think I have heard people say that the websites are so important that when they're during shows, even an open call, they may actually a lot of people just look at your website, even if it's an open call that you're doing online, because they just want to know, what is the context of this work? What is it? Sometimes you can't really tell until you've seen the person's website. So it's important. It's like everybody's got to have one. You just have to. There's no way around it. Damn it. Good. I'm sorry you can't talk. I feel like okay, so let's see. What other questions do people have? What else do we want to? All right, one of the things I was going to say was this is just, you may not be there right now, but suppose you did want to put together a group show. And, for whatever reason, you may be approaching some other galleries. Like we say, it is super hard. I guess I want to really say that don't be surprised if getting into a commercial gallery in Boston, one that is not a cooperative, is just daunting. Because it may be, and it has nothing to do with you. It's just that a lot of these places are looking at the market. The market in art is a lot like the fashion business. You just have to understand it's not us, it's the system. Fashion is built on the newest, coolest, youngest, hippest. There you go. I've said it. And so I might be really, having great success showing my work in museums, but not being able to get a gallery because my aesthetic, my age gets in the way. So I'm going to go to hell with that. I'm going to make my own party. I'm going to have a show and invite my friends and family. If I invite more than me, then I know that those people will also be inviting their friends and family and their new people to me. So let's have a little party and make a show that has just more than me in it. Good idea. You can do this. So you might find yourself being the curator. It's okay. It's not, it's not that bad. And if you can find somebody else who's done it to get in and on this with you, that's certainly helpful. But suppose you did want to do this. How would you pick the other 2 or 3 artists that will be in the show with you? So You may do this because you know them, and that's fine. Or you may do this because, maybe you work abstractly and you want a show to be cohesive and have something in common, which might be abstraction, or it might not be. It might be something else that drives it. So it can be very loosely organized depending on, what you have in mind. Like I'm thinking there's a there's a gallery. It's a nonprofit space in Arlington called the Old Schwalm Mill. It's this wonderful historic building. And there have been some really interesting shows in that space. It's not for everybody, but it's kind of rustic on the inside. And during the summer, it opens up as a historic walkthrough. It's free to show your work there. They have a mailing list. It's low stakes. It might be just the right place to get you out into the world to start doing that. Why not? Get 2 or 3 or 4 people together, think of an idea, go find the person on their website who looks at, gallery shows in the next year, and go make a proposal. And places like that are really happy to hear from artists who want to do this. You should go look at it and see if it's up to you, if it's what you are interested in first. Nikki, did you have a question? Go ahead.
Well, I was just thinking, what if you did something like that, but that a certain percentage of the proceeds of anything that was sold would go to a charity,
Right.
and so then you can partner, to think about ways that you can partner for marketing, etc. So that it
Absolutely.
becomes, right,
Those are all great ideas. Yes.
and I just have to tell the story quickly. You all may know about it. Joseph Beuys, the German, everyone probably knows him. So he was given a commission to do a community piece in this square in front of town hall in some little town in Germany. And so there was a local group that was trying to get trees planted, and the town wouldn't give them money. It was like $1 a tree or whatever. The town would not give them any money for their tree planting project. So somehow Beuys found out about this. So he's given this contract to do an installation. So he has this truck drive up and dump a massive pile of bricks right in front of town hall. And he said, "It's my piece." And they said, "No, no, no, you have to get rid of the bricks. You have to get rid of the bricks." And he goes, "Well," he said, "it's going to cost you $1 a brick. And every one of those dollars is going to go to these people to plant trees." So I mean, it's conceptual art, but it's like, it's resistance art. It's just,
Yes.
I've been thinking a lot about ways that, and thinking about, why do I do art? Is it just sort of self-masturbatory in a way? What is it? Why? And I love this idea of starting to think a little bit about ways that, I can still do my stuff without it being, political, or some kind of propaganda, but it can also engage in some meaningful way. And that's a creative act in itself. So anyway, whatever.
These are all great ideas, and there are a lot of people that you can look at that will help you with some of these ideas because they've done them, or you can do a version of them, or you get an idea that springs from something that's been done. No, it's really true, and that can really be very satisfying to do. And we really do. The arts are getting cut left and right, and we do have to think outside the box. We cannot rely even on the old gallery system. They're not doing so great. They're really not. That's why I say the cooperatives are the only thing in town that you can rely on that's going to be around for a little bit longer because the artists themselves fund it. So
what about pop-ups that were on some particular theme, some actually, and that like brought in other parts of the community to do something that's really kind of fun and outside the box, and and it would give people an impetus to buy because part of the and it would help the artist. So
there, it's definitely those those ideas are very exciting and, a little bit different if you can think about it. Um, people, yeah. Yeah, so right, we have to be as creative about the ways we get our work out into the world as we are making the work. It's really, really true. And I've
Think,
done 3 pop-ups in my life. It was really
yeah.
hard work, but it was very fulfilling and really fun. One of the ones I did was on Beacon Hill. There was a beauty shop that was having to move out of its space, and so they needed to help pay the rent while they were moving, and so they rented out on a public space called, I think it was something like Storefront. Can't I don't know. This was before the pandemic, but for $500 you could rent this space for a week, and it was a beauty salon that happened to have great track lighting. All the stuff was out of it. So it was like an empty room with track lights on the wall. And my friend and I had a show in there. And we invited all the cool kids and friends and family, whatever, whatever. And, I didn't sell anything, that people remembered who I was. And that kind of helped me to get a little bit of an in into a gallery that I eventually contacted in SOA. But the point was, I wanted to get my work out and I didn't want to wait around for this gallery.
Forever, right.
So, you can make it happen. And so she and I split the costs. It's $250 a week. So it's, that didn't seem like that much money to, really kind of make something happen there. And it was lots of fun. But, again, you don't even often don't even have to pay for a space or, whatever. So like a place like Ultra Mill, I don't think they would be happy about a one-day show. They might be, though. I mean, you could look at a weekend or whatever. So do you think, to keep your eyes open for, people who are doing these things that are a little bit different, and think about how you might modify it for yourself if you, want to do that kind of thing. Yeah, that's the reality. It's
Yeah.
it's hard. Sometimes we have to do it ourselves. But we want to share our work with other people. And, it doesn't matter if it's not the fanciest place in the world. It can be very modest and very just out there, as long as it's a place that you don't mind opening to the public. I mean, some people have open studios in that way, but they're a little nervous because it's, the studio is their house. So I totally get that. But anyway, yeah. Well, we have 5 minutes. Poor Betty. Betty, did you want to write us anything? Okay. Next week you get to talk a lot, I promise.
I find that having taught a lot at different parts of my life for a variety of different kinds of students, from kindergartners to grad students, that there's almost always an opportunity to show your work at some point during the school year, right?
Yeah.
I've had solo person shows at Pine Manor College. I've been part of, faculty shows at Rhode Island School of Design. I mean, I just feel like that, without needing to be a full-time faculty member, just offering to teach a class
Yeah.
in a local community cooperative
Yeah.
can really give you an opportunity, because very often they'll be like, now we're going to have a faculty show, or every faculty gets the gallery for 2 weeks every year or something like that.
Right.
It can be great, and it gives you community. I mean, I'm missing that now that I'm not teaching in Providence anymore, and I am. And there's great places on the Cape to teach, and they give the faculty opportunities to show.
Yep, absolutely.
The other thing that's really popular down here that sounds corny but is very successful are all these art shanties.
Oh,
Right?
yeah.
So every year there's 3 towns that have them now: Hyannis, P-Town, and Orleans. And it started out kind of crafty, but and actually now a lot of painters use these shanty opportunities. So you submit a proposal and they select who will be there. You're there for 1 week. You get the shanty, you put your work up, and people sell a lot
So
of work.
fun. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's so great.
Yeah, so I don't know if there's stuff like that up there. I think there is up in is it Salem maybe, or there's a shanty program up along the docks. But if anyone's inclined at all, it's a fair amount of work to organize it because you're basically a store for a week.
Yeah,
But I do know that the people who have them, they're selling thousands of dollars in work. It's not like I sold one piece one
yeah,
week. It's a lot.
yeah. Wow. Yeah, yeah. And I was going to say that kind of makes me think of residencies, which we haven't really talked about, but residencies are such a wonderful opportunity. Some of the perks of being an artist, you know, one of them is you can do residencies in very exotic places, and sometimes you can do them in places where they actually are free, like, exotic places like Iceland or Madrid or whatever. But, so there are hundreds, there are probably thousands of residency opportunities around the world.
Mm.
Let me just, and I know that Betty has a question, but if we haven't talked about it, let me just bring up this site for you. ArtRes. ResArt. Yeah, ResArt. ResArts. No. Resident, I was just going to look at, there are many sites that are that have artist residencies available, but let me just see if I can find it. Yeah, ResArts. This is the one. ResArtists, worldwide network of art residencies. And it can be really pretty terrific. So if you like to travel, or if you even want to do them in the States, there's so many. And so it's a period of time away from everything and everybody to do your work and to meet other artists. It's pretty fabulous. So, look at this. You can look at any region or country or city and find something. Many of them you have to pay for, others you don't. So does that make you want to go? Anyway,
Yeah, I get confused about those though, because I'm learning now. Like I always thought that artist residencies were things that you applied to and were chosen for. But then I talk to a lot of people who say, "Oh, I just did an artist residency," and basically it was like an art vacation, right? They like paid money to go to this place and do art. It was sort of a class essentially. But I guess as an artist in residence, you get access to maybe having a show at the end of your residency, or you have to give a small talk. So there's more a little more structure and focus involved. But I didn't realize that. I just thought they were always like things you applied to.
Well, it's gotten to be a very popular thing. And now that there are so many more artists, you can find those that are the classic artist residencies that, are competitive, very competitive to get in.
Yeah.
A lot of students from MFA programs, this is how they live their first couple of years out of school, is to go from residency program to resident program. It's a great gig if you can get it. But there are others that, are, as you say, you pay a certain amount and you might get a studio.
So I have a question though, in terms of CVs and stuff, because for me, everybody has a category for residencies, but if you've sort of paid to go somewhere, that doesn't seem I mean, it's nice to show the commitment, but it seems really different than a juried sort of opportunity, right? And so that's sort of where I kind of.
Yeah. So, that you should look at for the ones that are juried.
Yeah.
I think, the best thing about it is the experience you have there, not so much what's on the resume. I mean, I don't know that that's going to make a whole lot of difference because it's typically about your work. It might make a little bit just to say, oh, they got into MacDowell. Gee, somebody else thinks that they're really, really good artists. That may or may not be true. So, generally. So, yeah. Then there's certainly the list of ones that are more competitive, and then those may be the ones you want to apply for. But there are others that are less competitive, or there are others that are chances to do your work that are more like a teaching or a classroom situation. Or
no,
anyway,
I think and one of the things that I keep hearing that I understand is this idea of having a body of work, because a body of work versus a lot of work.
Yep.
And And I guess until recently, I kind of thought that was boring to have a body of work, frankly, because like once you do, it's like, but I understand, I can see now how that's important.
Betty has been with me in Art Chat for about 2 years now, and she's been really working on a body of work.
And it shows, it really
This is what
shows,
I-
right?
This is what I recommend. This is my prescription for whatever ails you is a body of work.
Yeah.
You know, because what we're talking about, like, it's a different context. You know, you're talking about something that, you know, you're researching and you're creating a public art piece for Marianne. It's different from, you know, a sort of solitary exploration and investigation. It's like research on a topic in your studio, which is much more about going deeper instead of broader, like, oh, I'll do a landscape and then I'll do this because I'm interested in that. But wait a minute, how about this? And then at the end of the day, you end up with, you know, you have a lot of ideas, but it doesn't, it might not even be that satisfying because you haven't carried it through.
Mm.
You know, so iterations on a theme is really, you know, the kind of the key.
Hmm.
But you know, it's different. Like you're saying, what you're doing, where you have you're commissioned by somebody to do this, it is going to look a lot different. But there may be ways in which you see 2 or 3 pieces by Marianne Agresti, you'll say, oh yeah, she's kind of known for XYZ.
Yeah.
Ties things together.
No, I think it's like you said, you look out through your whole life. It doesn't matter even how old you are. Like no matter what you're asked to do, you come to the table with a similar framework of choices and stuff, you know.
No, exactly. So, all right, Betty, before we end, Betty has a question for a print. Is the size the actual size of the work? The size of the work. Yeah, the size of the work, not the size of the mat or the frame. No, but by the word, yeah. All right, very good, everybody. I'll see you next time. And
Thank
again,
you.
please think, you know, what is it that we can help you with? What, you know, what kind of questions come up during the week? What can we kind of discuss? Bye.
Bye, thank you.
Hang in, everybody. Resist. Resist.